is this notion of helping people to understand how to define and then build a bit of a process to their dreams. Right, so whether you're a 19-year-old first-time aspiring entrepreneur in Mexico, or you're a 50-year-old multiple-time entrepreneur, business owner in Mexico, there's not as much support kind of culturally for entrepreneurship as there is that we're used to in Estados Unidos. And so we find ourselves first and foremost kind of being in this encouragement business. Practical, pragmatic. We're not spinning bullshit mythology about everybody wins, you can build the next Facebook. Like, practically speaking, teams in Tijuana probably aren't going to build the next Facebook. Right? But then again, also, we're not even sure if we want another Facebook, because we're not sure we like the one that we have now. Right? And so in that context, like, we really are about encouragement, helping people to define what their dreams are, and then put practical steps behind them. Does that kind of fit with your... I think his story, I'm going to turn it like, hopefully he can tell his story in Spanish, because his story is a story of the classic, what I call entrepreneurial journey in Mexico. Like from employada, right? So you're employee to entrepreneur, a lot of setbacks, a lot of changes, a lot of adaptation, and now growing a business with probably 90% of your revenue, multiple millions of dollars for revenue per year, by the way, coming from American clients. Right, so I think you're turning your dreams into reality already.
Well, thank you. Hi everyone, my name is Jesus. I'm 25 years old. Yeah, I'm younger guy, but I have a really good history to share with you. So, I have a correction from Donnie McCrory. He's my partner of the business. We are $2.5 million now, and we are a really successful story to share with you. Well, my English is very bad, and I would like to speak with you in Spanish, because I have a question for you guys. How many Mexicans are here? Well, yeah, my history is for the Mexicans. You can dream, and you can have successful in Mexico, working with American people and working in a binational culture first. So, bueno, ahora sí voy a comenzar a hablar en español. Como les comentaba, nosotros, bueno, soy cofundador de Framework Science. Entre Lon y yo creamos una historia, una misión y sobre todo un sueño de crear cosas que para muchas personas aquí en México pudieran llegar a ser imposibles. Sobre todo el hecho de que al mexicano o al latinoamericano le es casi imposible soñar, le es casi imposible crear lo imposible con nada. El punto está en que como tijuanenses tenemos una ubicación geográfica privilegiada en la cual nosotros podemos compartir experiencias con la cultura más avanzada en tecnología, lo cual es cierto, que son los American people. Entonces, el hecho de una persona que es mexicana y que busca emprender en México resulta ser muy difícil porque es estropeado muchas veces por las cámaras que existen en la misma comunidad tijuanense o en la misma región Baja California, ¿no? Me refiero, no voy a decir nombres porque no es el punto, pero sí voy a hacer un hincapié en el que muchas veces nosotros como mexicanos tenemos el tema de sueño muy estropeado porque la misma sociedad no nos permite soñar. ¿Por qué? Porque tenemos un sueño muy limitado, porque nosotros creemos que estamos hechos únicamente para trabajar fuerte y no para trabajar inteligentemente. Y eso es algo que al momento en el que yo conocí a Loni, él me lo compartió muy claramente. El típico mexicano es bueno para trabajar, pero es muy malo para pensar. Entonces, es algo chistoso, pero es algo real. Entonces, ¿cómo comenzó Framework Science y cómo comenzó Historia? Soy un joven mexicano, soy tijuanense, tengo 25 años, a punto de cumplir 26. Logré hacer un negocio exitoso de la mano de Loni y de muchas personas que nos rodean. Somos aproximadamente 40, 45 personas que formamos Framework Science, tanto en México como en Estados Unidos. Somos una empresa que tenemos presencia en diferentes partes de la República Mexicana. Pero muchos se preguntarán, ¿cómo es que logramos hacer tanto en tan poco tiempo? Somos una empresa que vamos a cumplir apenas nuestro segundo año de existencia. Prácticamente la manera en la que nosotros pudimos tener ese éxito en muy poco tiempo fue desde que nos encontramos en una situación en la cual ambos queríamos realizar un cambio, ambos queríamos hacer cosas diferentes, ambos queríamos darle una nueva inspiración a la comunidad tijuanense y sobre todo ser una inspiración para el resto de la República. Pero muchos decíamos, y me incluyo, ¿cómo podemos lograr eso? Lo puedes lograr muy fácil, únicamente tienes que juntarte con las personas correctas, rodearte de personas que busquen el mismo objetivo que tú tienes, y sobre todo hay algo y una situación muy importante, que es que como mexicanos, y no lo digo porque sea malinchista ni mucho menos, tendemos a buscar siempre el tema del dinero antes de la satisfacción personal. Entonces, desde mi punto de vista, tenemos que tener una visión clara, objetivos, tenemos que fijarnos metas, y no podemos cogernos al mundo en 6 meses, en 3 meses, en 1 año, ni en 2 años. Tenemos que ir, como le dije a Rob, step by step. Tenemos que crecer paso por paso, tenemos que crecer paulatinamente, tenemos que, sobre todo, en esta era en la que creemos que todo lo tenemos, no es así, tenemos que tener los pies sobre la tierra y tenemos que enfocarnos en lo que es la realidad de las cosas y qué son las cosas tangibles que podemos tener, qué es lo que no podemos tener y cómo podemos revertir el hecho de que pudiéramos o podamos llegar a tener algún caso de lo contrario, lo que es el éxito, que es el fracaso, ¿no? En nuestro caso tuvimos que pasar por esa parte de fracaso, pero ¿por qué pasamos por ahí? Porque tuvimos que explorar, ahora sí que es lo que hacemos en Framework Science todos los días, exploramos lo desconocido, buscamos exponer nuestras mentes, nuestros cuerpos a lugares donde nunca más, donde la gente no quiere llegar, y es donde Lonnie y yo siempre vamos a buscar explore the unknown, siempre vamos a ver hacia adelante, pero siempre tenemos que ir acompañados de esas diferentes luces que son todas las personas que colaboran dentro de Framework Science, que son esas personas que nos llevan a iluminar ese camino que muchas veces pues, es incierto y es un poco oscuro. Esa es prácticamente mi historia como cofundador de Framework, y prácticamente would you say anything else about Tijuana?
No, I've got to follow on the idea of like getting to the point where you can translate your dream into something step by step, right? So I'll kind of take two points on this I think that are important. One, I'll use our story, which might be interesting to someone, and then I'll use some context around what we see just around Mexico, right? Dealing with other entrepreneurs. So I said earlier that we're in the encouragement business, right? We're in the founder development business. Part of the encouragement, though, is to be very real, like very pragmatic about what we say, because this industry of entrepreneurship in Latino America, which exists in Mexico, tends to be very full of what my Mexicano friends remind me always the best way to describe is just called smoke. And so now all my Mexicano friends are going, yeah. So to my American friends, that would be like a lot of bullshit. Right, a lot of fluffy nonsense, and so what we've done is we're in jeopardy of educating an entire generation of prospective entrepreneurs to believe that the smoke, the fuzzy, warm, cool, exciting parts of entrepreneurship, the show, is what it really means to be an entrepreneur. And of course, anyone who has lost some hair and gotten some bags under their eyes from trying to be an entrepreneur at age 50, yes, I'm old enough to be his father. My daughter is 25. Knows that it's not about the show, right? And so I think that when we talk about turning dreams into reality, as Héctor said, is a big part of what we do in Mexico is, and ironically, our entire business is supporting the institutions that teach and promote entrepreneurship. And we like to joke oftentimes that the greatest beneficiary of our services are the actual entrepreneurs, but they don't have to pay us for our services because we've convinced their institutions that they're a part of to pay us for our services. And then we kind of come in behind the institutional smoke and all the good, and the big events, and the parties, and the lights, and the media, and the PR, and the social postings, and we say, that's great, that's going to exist. We're not going to change that in Mexico, but we're going to tell you the truth for the next day, for the next 3 days, for the next 2 weeks as part of this boot camp. And so I think, again, part of dreaming, which we need to do more of in Mexico, right? In Mexico, we are a humble culture. We're humble people who generally, in far too many cases, don't think we're worthy. We don't think we deserve success. We don't think we should ask for the venture capital that we need. Like, okay, so we need to dream a little bit more aggressively, but at the same token, we view an immense opportunity to kind of pepper that with some truth. Right? Now, that's one part, like the pragmatic reality of turning your dreams into reality. The other part is just, I like to put this simply as saying, we need to all say yes more often than we say no. Right? We need to, like, and sometimes that means saying yes to an obvious risk that we might take. Sometimes it means saying yes to a question that we're not even sure if it's a risk or it's a reward, we don't know. But lean into things and say yes. And so, in my example, let's paint some context. I'm the 50-year-old, 4-time CEO, founder of 4 different enterprises, this being my 4th. And in this company, where we do literally 99% of our business with universities, governments, corporations, investors, incubators, accelerators in Mexico and Latino America, I'm the only gringo. I'm the only person in our team that doesn't speak fluent Spanish, right? And it all came about because a guy who's standing in the very back of the room right now, busily talking to someone else, sent me a DM on Twitter like 3.5 years ago and said, hi, my name is David Laguero, I'm from Tijuana, I've been following you on social media, I love what you talk about related to entrepreneurship, I'm involved in this incubator in Tijuana, and I wonder if you would ever be interested in coming to give a speech in Tijuana. And I sat there after I read the DM, because I'm the guy who reads the DMs, and I thought, okay, wait a minute, hold on. So there's like a business incubator in Tijuana? Like what? Like Tijuana's the place that I drive through when I go to Los Rios or Ensenada to drink with my friends on the weekend. Like I live in LA, I've been doing this for 20 years. Like, wait, huh? Hold on. And I stopped and I thought, okay, well, I should reply to this kid and find out what his story is. And I'm looking at his profile and he's like, I'm a creator, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a maker. I'm like, what is he talking about, right? And it's in English, so I'm like, what? So I responded. So I leaned in. I didn't say yes, but I kind of leaned into the conversation and I said, at the worst, 46-year-old, multiple-time founder entrepreneur, like, I've got to find out what the hell he's talking about. And he goes on to explain to me, there's this program, it's funded by your government, ironically, it's funded by the State Department of the United States through the local consulate office here and the Mexican government, and we bring speakers over to speak to local entrepreneurs and students and the community about entrepreneurship from a global perspective. And he was like, so I just am curious, like, would you like to come give a speech? Like, we can pay for your flights and your hotel accommodations. And I responded back, I was like, I live in LA, dude. Like, I can just take the train and I'll be there in an hour, you can save the money. He's like, no, but we want to treat you like a VIP. I was like, no, I'm in. And I said yes. And that week, which was ironically 2 weeks ago, 3 years ago, mid-May. So only about a little over 3 years ago, right? I came down and I wound up giving 5 speeches. And to my guys in the back, who we were talking earlier about universities in Tijuana, 5 of those 5 speeches I gave, 2 were to classrooms full of 500 engineering students here in Tijuana, right? And then the local business group and the university, another university, and then they drove me all the way out into like almost to Tecate nearly, to another university campus, right? And then I sat at the hotel here, like 2 blocks from here. I sat at the hotel at the Real Inn, and I'm not embarrassed to say this now, I've told this story 50 times in Mexico in the last 2 years. I literally cried at the bar at the hotel because I was embarrassed that I had become like the 50-year-old or late 40s-year-old white guy, like stereotype version who had no fucking idea what was going on in Tijuana, which is right here. And I thought to myself, like, this has got to change. Now, I'll skip 3 years of stories in between now and then. He's now my business partner. We've been in business here for 3 years. We have 1 client out of 22. We have 22 clients. We have 1 client that's in the US, a US university. We have 21 organizations in 6 different countries in Latin America. And we are like the backbone organization that supports this development of entrepreneurship and emprendimiento by helping them with programs, services, relationships, and advice. And so when Lonnie so kindly sits up here and drops our name 3 or 4 times, which shocked me, I owe Lonnie a beer later, but it resonated to me that 3 years ago, when we were involved in Startup San Diego on the San Diego side, and I said, why aren't we having these meetings in Tijuana? Like nobody cared. Like the only person that really talked to me and was nice to me was Andy, like 3 years ago. Right? And now he's wondering why he did that. And here we are tonight in Tijuana, sitting next to a Tijuanese who's working cross-border and mostly delivering, again, millions of dollars of revenue to American clients. Like disproving all the myths, in spite of all the controversy, while all the bad politics are swirling around all of us that we can't control, and while we're debating whether or not the border is open or not tonight, and while I walked over today, because I came just for this from Los Angeles, and I will leave right after this, sadly, and go right back home tonight, because I felt like this was important enough, but I had to go past the fence with the barbed wire on the top of it, and I posted on Instagram like, oh, that must be to stop the invading hordes that are coming across, obviously, right? And so it's a little bit of our story to use our story to illustrate that literally if you lean in to the possibilities and you're thoughtful about the risks and the realities instead of buying into the mythology, anything is truly possible to be dreamed for any Tijuanese. And we did an evento 6 weeks ago. We had a room, a theater filled with 700 high school students. Héctor was there. It was incredible. Like 40% of them understood English. And at the end of it, 100% of them were standing up there after with us, taking Instagram photos and tagging us and asking us if we could like shake my hand and visit with David and find out how we could help come speak at their high school here in Tijuana, because we were saying things that they don't. So if a 50-year-old gringo can build a business in multiple countries in Latino America, live in Chile for a year, which I did, live now fully as a literal nomad. That backpack and 1 suitcase is my life. And I spend time in every city in Mexico, Argentina, Colombia, Chile, Peru, Uruguay. Like, if I can do this and still speak muy poco español, and work with the smartest, most ambitious, most eager young Mexicanos, Argentines, Chilenos, Peruvians, like, anything is possible for Tijuaneses, and more is possible for us gringos from the other side of the border, because the resources and the talent and the intelligence, all the things you look for in hiring a great person exists. He's sitting right next to me. Thank you. So I mean, this is like turning your dreams into reality 101.
Exactly. Thank you very much. Remember, it's open mic. You got a question? Raise your hand. You have a startup?
Yes.
Raise your hand. You want to ask a question? You want to know? You want to counsel? Whatever. Raise your hand. Come on. Take an opportunity.
How many like new startups are in here? Like ideation stage, or like we've got some customers, like kind of somewhere in between? Yeah. Okay. So are all of you wondering like how to make it bigger, how to get more, how to grow, maybe we can get a microphone. Let's get a microphone. There we go.
I'm a lawyer, I can be pretty loud.
Nice.
How do you address rule of law issues and challenges we can talk here about all the things that go right, but when things go wrong, how do you deal with recourse management?
Super great detailed question. No, but that's good. That's a good lawyerly question. Right? And you can hold on to the mic because you probably have like a response to it, whether we're wrong or right. So I'll say in our case, and then talk about in framework science, because you're doing contract business with companies in the U.S. So talk about how you remediate that. In our case, we're paid. All our contracts are paid in American dollars. All our contracts adjudicated back. So like California is in our contracts, like the corporation in Argentina is agreeing that if it goes south, we're rule of law of the state of California in the U.S. is the norm. That probably has cost us some business somewhere here and there, but so far so good. So we're kind of we keep it home, right? How do you guys do it?
You need to be prepared with insurance in the United States, in Mexico too.
Right, because you're delivering like actual software that they can say you did or you didn't.
Yeah, well, the first thing you need to be prepared with quality of your product to don't have any issues about with your customer, and you need to have a team, legal team, and absolutely the insurance is very most important to work with big companies in the United States, in Mexico too.
The follow-on to that is, interestingly, our company, we put our company through one of these big international accelerator programs in Chile, and I lived there for a year, and I was fascinated by how young Latin American entrepreneurs from Mexico, from every other country in Latin America, were so eager to just follow like a script of how to set up their new startup according to something that they had read in like TechCrunch, right? And so they were like, we have to have a Delaware, LLC, and we have to have a lawyer. And I'm like, do you have any customers in Peru? Like, you're from Lima? Do you have customers in Lima? And they're like, well, no, not yet, but we have to get ready because eventually we're going to have to raise venture capital from Silicon Valley. I'm like, okay, slow down. Like, finish your product or your service, find someone who's going to pay you for it, set your corporation up in your hometown with a lawyer who's friendly to you, who will let you do it for cheap, right? And get yourself set up organizationally in your home country and start to grow your business there. And then, like through these programs, they brag about all the international mentors and international relationships they'll have for you. Like, then lean on them to get the good advice about how to set yourself up properly to do business in the US. So it's an interesting kind of reality.
Yeah, and another thing about successful in other countries is you don't be fair about pay taxes. It's the most important thing here in Mexico and United States. You need to be the most legal person or company in both sides to get really success in your business.
Other questions, comments, anything? Come on. Who's got a dream? Anybody got a dream? Who's trying to turn their dream into reality? Right, there we go. So everybody, yeah, that's it. That's it. You're the only one with a dream and trying to turn it into reality. Any questions? Comments? Yes, right here.
Any U.S.-based companies you work with?
In our case, we have one client in the U.S. and it's a university.
And so where does your line of funding? You say the government funds your program?
No, that was just the example. That was how I came here to give the original speech.
Okay.
No, literally, like, we're completely private. We're just a normal company who sells a lot of stuff.
So say in my position as a startup, what type of process do you have in place that wouldn't overcharge me, that allows me to keep my head above water and still develop my product at the same time? Do you have any scholarships, or do you have any type of programs for veterans or so on and so forth?
See, great, super question. So the easy answer is no, like in the sense that we don't directly support you, like you particularly, but what I will tell you, which is the more honest answer, is whether or not you're not a client of ours, because we would sell to the university, we would sell to the government of a state in Mexico who might have 5,000 of you that are part of the program. But when we meet you, and the two guys standing right behind you can vouch for this, when we meet guys like you or ladies like you anywhere in our journey, we will go out of our way to just help you just because we want to help you. And that's so if you have a project that you're trying to build in San Diego, or I don't care where you're from, like my partner David is standing behind him, and we'll do whatever we can do to help you succeed. And mostly what it'll be, we'll probably refer you to relationships with other programs, with other institutions that can support. I know, for example, I'll toss one out, like in the US right now, we work with the big, huge global co-working company where we have very good relationships with the WeWork folks at the very top, and WeWork right now has a hugely successful, really impactful program that is about supporting veteran entrepreneurs, like first-time veteran entrepreneurs. They give you a co-working space, they give you funding, like they tie you into their network of relationship. It's really cool. So that would be like a no-brainer for me if indeed you were the veteran who has the idea. Like we'd be happy to try and connect you into that.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a question. How many of you who are entrepreneurs that had a business have failed? Maybe it's your first, second, third, fourth, or fifth. How many of you have failed at your business? Can you talk a little about that?
I ran out of hands.
Yeah, failure is part of growing up. Failure is part of learning. So when you see a startup and you're helping it out and they start to fail, how can you pick them up? Because it's hard.
You failed.
Yeah, a big fail. Es una historia un poco sentimental en lo personal y creo que para nosotros también. Hace algunos 8 meses estuvimos trabajando para una empresa muy grande. Entre ellas eran compañías que estaban involucradas como la NFL, Disney, NBA, sin marcas, ok. Bueno, entonces nosotros crecimos de 5 personas a un equipo de 25 personas en un momento de 30 días. Y fue increíble cómo hicimos tanto esfuerzo para crecer, pero también fue increíble cómo puedes perder el piso en un abrir y cerrar de ojos por el simple hecho de que te enfocas en cosas menos importantes y empiezas a pensar en qué puedes tener sin haber tenido lo primero, que es una seguridad y una estabilidad. Entonces, el punto está en que nosotros tuvimos a 20 personas durante 3 meses que confiaron en nuestra visión, sin pago alguno. ¿Por qué? Porque creían en lo que era Framework Science, creían en que era el corazón de Framework, creían en el por qué estábamos haciendo las cosas diferentes, en el por qué teníamos un buen crecimiento, en el por qué teníamos un buen modelo de negocios. Sin embargo, el punto que a nosotros como directivos, dueños, gerentes, como le queramos llamar, X o Y posición en la que pudiéramos estar, lo que más tiene que inspirar es la responsabilidad de tener a tantas personas dentro de tu empresa y cómo tienes que cuidar a esas personas, porque muchas veces no te puedes imaginar si esas personas van a llegar a sus casas y tienen hijos o tienen esposas, tienen familiares, tienen a su papá enfermo, tienen a su mamá enferma. Sin embargo, tú como emprendedor en ese momento tienes que ponerte en los zapatos de cada persona. ¿Por qué? Porque de esa manera es más fácil que tú puedas salir de un hoyo en el que te encuentras prácticamente cuando estás fallando en una empresa. El tú ponerte el saco de esas personas y vivir el día a día junto a esas personas es lo que más te va a motivar a salir adelante. De otra manera, te puedo decir que es prácticamente imposible. Sin embargo, el hecho de que despertarte cada día viendo a esas personas que creían en ti, viendo a esas personas salir adelante, que aún así tú tocaste fondo, no tenías ni siquiera dinero para llegar a la oficina, muchas veces ni para comer en el horario de trabajo, tener que pedir ayuda para pagar una renta, para pagar la luz, para pagar ciertas nóminas, para poder ayudar a la gente. Puede tender a ser vergonzoso, pero cuando la gente realmente cree en ti y ve que tienes un producto que es lo suficientemente accesible para un mercado que en realidad es muy potencial, créeme que es fácil salir de lo que te imaginas, de un punto en el cual tú dices, sabes que no hay escapatoria, si ya llegamos a un punto en el que jamás creímos que íbamos a llegar y de repente caemos tan rápido, pues puede que tengamos éxito, puede que el 90% decía que no íbamos a tener éxito y el 10% es el 10% que está en tu corazón y que está en tu mente y que dice sí puedes lograrlo. Entonces salimos de ese punto a base de esfuerzo, a base de dedicación, a base de poner los pies en la tierra, a base de todos los días trabajar, de ser los primeros en llegar a la oficina, de ser los últimos en venirnos. Aún así ya no estábamos en la oficina, seguir trabajando en nuestras casas, seguir viendo cómo podíamos salir del atolladero en el que estábamos. Y la clave está en eso, en el que confíes en las personas y que las personas confíen en ti totalmente en lo que tú puedes lograr como empresa y sobre todo en lo que tú puedes lograr como persona. Si tú tienes la capacidad de transmitir eso, créeme que estás del otro lado. Si no puedes transmitir eso, y si no eres capaz de resistir estrés, si no eres capaz de no tener dinero en tu bolsa, de no levantarte temprano, de no dormir de noche, de no ir al hospital, te recomiendo que si estás emprendiendo en este momento, retírate, porque no es bueno para tu salud. Pero si estás dispuesto a dejar más allá de lo que la gente normal bueno, la gente normal, claro, no deja, pues entonces sigue adelante, cree en tus sueños, porque cuando hay gente que cree en los sueños que tú tienes, es más fácil poder transmitir, es más fácil poder tener éxito y es más fácil poder crear cosas imposibles que la gente cree que no es posible. Entonces, si tú vas en ese camino de creer en lo que es imposible, vas en el camino correcto. Si quieres, como dijo Rob al inicio, si tú quieres crear un Facebook, pues no lo hagas, en realidad no lo hagas, porque vas a crear cosas sobre lo creado. Mejor trata de hacer cosas en las cuales la gente nunca ha querido ir por el miedo a fracasar, por el miedo a decir, es que no hay un mercado validado. Bueno, tal vez no habrá un mercado validado, pero quizás tú puedas ser la oveja negra dentro del corral, ¿no? Tú pudieras llegar a validar ese mercado. Obviamente, muchas veces cuando estás emprendiendo te dicen, es que tienes que emprender y tienes que aventarte, pero pues no te puedes aventar a lo pendejo, perdón por la palabra. Siempre tienes que empezar a validar las cosas, porque si empiezas a creer en todas esas personas bueno, hay muchas personas y muchas compañías o muchas empresas que van comenzando y que te dicen, bueno, para hacer mucho dinero tienes que hacer esto, pero bueno, ¿cuánto dinero has hecho tú? ¿Cuál es tu caso de éxito? ¿Cómo lo has logrado? Compárteme algo de lo tuyo para yo poder implementarlo en lo mío. Y si no son capaces de transmitirte eso, y si tú no eres capaz de transmitir tu misión y tu visión a la gente que está contigo, no estás dirigiendo bien tu empresa, no estás dirigiendo bien. Tienes que tener liderazgo, tienes que salir adelante, pero sobre todo creo que el problema y la capacidad de salir de esos hoyos es la mentalidad que tienes ante las cosas adversas. Tenemos que empezar a cambiar esa mentalidad, tenemos que empezar a remar contra corriente, porque pues eso nos ha tocado desde hace tiempo. Entonces, para mí esa ha sido la clave, el confiar en las personas que tengo a mi lado, el confiar en mi equipo, el confiar en mi socio, el confiar en todas las personas que están a nuestro alrededor, y sobre todo ver que cuando las personas confían en ti, tú puedes lograr lo imposible aunque no te la creas. And you, bro.
Wow. So I'll say this: when there's a reality of the culture here, right, that is just fearful of failure as a concept, right, socially. When I say we, Mexicanos are uncomfortable with it, right, as part of their reality. And so I think in our world, the biggest lesson we try and impart to entrepreneurs of any age or experience level is not so much that like failure is okay, which is kind of an easy thing to say, like, oh, it's okay, but like that failure is literally part of the process, right? So when we talk about like at the very ideation stage of a new startup or a new company, like here's the business model canvas, here's like the planning for your business. We bake failure at various points into that discussion so that they understand it and own it from the very moments of inception, so that we like to think that we're demystifying it to a degree so that you expect that it's going to come, which still doesn't overcome the cultural realities that like they'll hear us say that, and then afterwards it's like, that was cool, we understand you, like you're trying to prepare us for failure, but like we're going to be different, we're not going to fail, right? And it's just like baked into because you don't want to go home and you don't want to tell your parents that you failed, you don't want your friends to think you failed. Like in the US, as we do in some circumstances, we hyper sensationalize a lot of things, not everything, but a lot of things, right? And in that process, we create like failure porn and hustle porn, and it's about like hustle and failure and hashtag, and it's like cool, it becomes a whole thing. And the truth is, in the Mexican culture, or Latino American cultures in general, to different degrees, like this is just not acceptable, right? And so what we're trying to do is accept the cultural realities while helping prepare them for the reality that we know as business people that is going to come. So it's almost like if I was mentoring him a couple years ago and I'm telling him about failure is going to come, and he's telling me like, you don't understand, I'm going to be better than that. Like, I just we give the founders the room to fail, and then know that we're still going to love them when they circle back around a year later and they go like, oh, you were right, right? So a lot of it is just understanding and us trying to make an impact. You don't. I've learned this really, and failure is such a great talking point about Mexico in general culturally. Like I've learned that when I first showed up, a very typical American attitude, right? We're going to disrupt this industry. We're going to change the industry the way that emprendimiento is done in Latino America. And we are, but we're doing it by really now, 3 years later, just getting inside of it and then just turning the ship a little bit at a time. So I always joke that, you know, if I'm lucky, I'll be doing this 30 years from now. And then at 80, I'll be able to look back on a 30-year legacy in Latino America and say like, wow, we changed, we truly did disrupt the way that we teach and promote and support and encourage emprendimiento. But you can't just come in, drop in and go like, you shouldn't be worried about failure, Mexicano, even though everything about the last 500 years of your culture is worried about failure. Right? Like you can't do that. That's not that's not a practical way to help people to evolve and develop. And so I think failure becomes like this, because success is easy. Like, you know, like success is, as we all know, part luck, part good timing, part foresight, part risk taking, but it's mostly luck, right? But failure is the thing that's inevitable. And so to try and help the culture understand how to deal with it is a very personal thing.
Lo que yo pienso, en lo personal, recalcando lo que dice Rob, es que muchas veces nos enfocamos en tener las cosas perfectas y no terminadas. Y lo real es lo contrario, better done than perfect. Y es, no trates...
Progress.
Yeah.
Progress over perfection.
Yeah.
Right? Or as we say, one of the great barriers in Mexico in particular is that there is still this cultural value of power over progress.
Okay.
Right? Like I'd rather get like a little bit of credit for something, even if it's kind of not really substantial, than just keep my head down for longer and make progress. Right? And so I always say in my public speeches, as we start to shift that ratio and we start to make it more about collective communal progress over individual power, like then we have the power to really develop like sustainable economic growth that everybody wins from. Now I sound like I'm in the Morena campaign.
Es paso por paso, step by step. No trates de comerte el mundo, no trates de hacer cosas que no son dentro de tu alcance, mejor trata de ser ágil y de ser adaptable a un mercado que puede ser cambiante, como lo es la tecnología cambia todos los días, entonces el mercado siempre tiene que ser adaptable a cualquier tipo de tecnología que esté dentro de ese tiempo, entonces no te estropees con procesos rústicos, anticuados, mejor trata de ser una empresa que es fácil de adaptación para tus consumidores. Eso es lo que vale en el mercado.
And I know we're running out of time here. I'm just going to add one more kind of big thematic comment to this, right? So we haven't talked about it, but a couple of my great friends here tonight were talking with me before this and trying to get in there like, hey, you should mention this. And it's an important one, right? Passion. And I know you talked about like his passion. We like to talk about passion in maybe again a bit of an untraditional contrarian way. There's just like unadulterated passionate energy, right? Which Andy would tell you I have an insane amount of. And sometimes that can get diffused and it's not really directed and it's just waving your arms around, right? And as an entrepreneur or a founder or a creator, that's not good enough, right? So this idea of like follow your dreams, live your passion. Okay, like as a meme or an Instagram post, like that's cool. But like as a practical, applicable lesson in how to develop your idea into reality, how to turn your dream into an idea into a validated business, how to find product market fit, how to get someone to start paying you for it, how to like eventually convince investors so that you can scale it, like all those things, the passion